You know that when it comes to political ads, the thing I hate most are negative ads.
I think the ad sucks, to be just very specific about it. Welcome to Political Experts React, where we break down political ads in media, explain what the people behind them are trying to accomplish, and decide whether or not they did a good job. I'm Jon Pfeiffer, former communications director for Barack Obama. Joining me today is former White House Deputy Chief of Staff and host of Crooked Media's Hysteria podcast, my good friend, Alyssa Mastromonaco. This episode of Political Experts React is brought to you by ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol, your first drink for a better tomorrow. Alyssa Mastromonaco, welcome back to Political Experts React. It is great to see you.
Buddy, you know I love ads.
Campaign ads are always your favorite part of politics.
Absolutely.
We are having a very special, exciting episode. It is a Kamala Harris episode of Political Experts React. We had an entire agenda, a huge plan, and then Sunday happened. We shift everything around, and we have some Kamala Harris ads to look at as a way to try to imagine what the campaign between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is going to look like. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm ready for it. I think ads are going to matter a little bit more this time around.
They better, otherwise the entire premise of this show collapses.
Well, I'm trying to do you a solid here.
Right. If ads don't matter and polls are wrong, my crooked media career is kind of fucked, I'll be honest.
You can always come make jam with me.
That's right. Okay, let's start with an ad from MAGA Inc., which is a pro-Trump super PAC.
Kamala was in on it. She covered up Joe's obvious mental decline.
Our president is in good shape, in good health, tireless, vibrant, and I have no doubt about the strength of the work that we have done.
But Kamala knew Joe couldn't do the job, so she did it. Look what she got done. A border invasion, runaway inflation, the American dream dead. They created this mess. Kamala owns this failed record. Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
All right, so I think this adds a pretty good preview of what we're going to hear from Republicans, at least at the outset of the race against Kamala Harris. There are two arguments in here. One is that she bears responsibility for all the things that people may or may not like about the Biden administration's record. And this other thing that she somehow has been part of some sort of conspiracy to cover up the president's mental decline or infirmity or whatever else. What do you think of the ad? What do you think of those two arguments?
So I think that those two arguments are really cynical. I'm not surprised. The Trump
cynical in a political ad? Get out.
Here's the thing. You know that when it comes to political ads, the thing I hate most are negative ads. And this to me feels, I'm going to tell you, feels a little trite. It feels like the Trump campaign and the GOP were caught flat-footed, and this was like the best they got. To me, it signals they're going to go scorched earth. They're going to do all the things that we know they're going to do. And it felt like this was the absolute lowest hanging fruit.
Do you think voters care about this idea that somehow Kamala Harris or other Democrats were involved in some sort of conspiracy around Biden?
I think that voters who were never going to vote for Biden Harris in the first place, this ad validates what they hope to be true and what they think to be true. But to me, this does not probably persuadable voters.
I think the ad sucks, to be just very specific about it.
Well, it's really cheap. I mean, it's like the quality is really fucking bad.
All these Republican consultants were, at a barbecue on Sunday. They checked Twitter. They found out that they had a different candidate. They had to go cut an ad like this, and they did it on the cheap to get it out there in the first news cycle.
Yeah.
One of the challenges for Kamala Harris is there is a world in which she will bear some of the anger or blame or responsibility for things people don't like about the Biden-Harris administration, and very specifically around the border, because Republicans have spun this false tale that she was in charge of the border. I feel like I am playing whack-a-mole with this and no one cares, but she was not in charge of the border. She was given a specific task, which is the exact same task that President Obama gave President Biden when there was a similar surge in migrants at the border in 2014, which was to work with the countries where the migrants are coming from to see if you can put in policies to help stem the migration. She was not in charge of border security. She was not in charge of law enforcement at the border. She was not in charge of managing the facilities to house migrants. That was not her job. But this is what they want to do. The conspiracy thing is just idiocy to me. It is like,
it's crazy. Also, guess what? He tripped. So fucking what? I don't know. The whole thing to me felt like a real throwaway.
Yeah, the tripping footage was problematic for Biden in a campaign that was about making him seem too weak to do the job. I think it's totally irrelevant against Kamala Harris, and they haven't yet adjusted their strategy to account for the new environment. And I hope they never do.
But can I tell you something that I think is wild about all this? Is that this is a group of people who have been beating a drum for however many months that Biden's unfit and that he shouldn't be running. And so, this is what you wished for. What were you waiting for? Like, I just felt like they would have had something slightly better in the can.
Exactly. Like, there had been reports they had done some testing and preparation for Kamala Harris. If this is the best they have, that's a very positive sign. I also think they don't really understand Democratic politics, and they didn't really think he was going to step aside, and that if he did step aside, that she would be the one who would necessarily and automatically ascend to the nomination.
Oh, you mean the party of the person who gave the longest speech ever in history at the RNC, second only to himself and himself the previous years?
He is 3 for 3 in speeches over 1 hour at the convention. All right, people, I'm back once again to encourage you to smash that subscribe button to my Substack newsletter, The Message Box. This newsletter is for people who want to beat Donald Trump. It will give you tools and talking points that help you convince your RFK-curious cousin about why you should get on board for Kamala Harris 2024. If you like this show and you like Pod Save America, I promise you'll love The Message Box. So go to crooked.com/newsletter to sign up. Okay. The next ad we're going to watch is from Kamala Harris's 2020 primary campaign.
Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one.
Grab him by the...
She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At Trump University, we teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America and forced them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala.
Okay, this ad is nearly 5 years old at this point. It was an ad her campaign ran right after she announced as a way to introduce her to the Democratic primary electorate. But I wanted to highlight it because I think it does set up the sort of contrast that she may run on, and that contrast was explicit in her remarks to the Biden campaign staff on Monday when she sort of laid out the difference between them. So you can see an ad in this vein from her campaign in the near future. What do you think of it?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Because you know what? It's not just a negative ad. It's contrast. It's like, here is Trump and here is Kamala. I think that I cannot wait to see the 2024 version of this ad. I want to see the Brett Kavanaugh footage when she is questioning him at his confirmation hearing. Like, there is so much more now for her to even say, which again, like you said, she previewed at the speech she gave to campaign staff. But to me, I think this is very effective. This, to me, for people who have been sitting out the race for the most part, are going to pay attention to. I think it will make people think.
I love this ad. I love this ad when it ran the first time. I remember it from then. I think it shows why people have such a belief that Kamala Harris can run a much more competitive race against Trump than we thought Biden could, even though the polling at this point does not necessarily suggest that, even though the polling as we sit here shows her doing a few points better. But you see the upside of the campaign, or you see the contrast that you have. And just think about everything that's happened in the 5 years since she ran this ad.
That's the thing. There should be like, hey, this was the first ad I did, and now here it is. And he's gotten so much worse.
Since then, he's been found liable in a court for rape. He's involved in fraud. He's now been found guilty of fraud and fined like $250 million for fraud. He has been convicted of a felony. He's a convicted criminal.
34.
And the part about he'll divide us, she'll bring us together. He sparked a violent insurrection, tried to overthrow the... Like, you can see the contrast is even sharper now than it was 5 years ago. Our friend David Axelrod always says that in elections, when you are running against an incumbent, they want the replacement, not the replica.
Yeah.
And yes, Kamala Harris is the vice president to the incumbent president, but Trump is an incumbent figure in this race. He was president 4 years ago. He is the better known of the two. He's the one with the record. And she is the opposite of Trump in every way. And you see that here. And I think it can be the foundation for an incredibly strong campaign.
I agree.
Let me tell you, if there's one surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking, it is ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Last week, we were on tour in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention, and let me tell you, I am so glad that I packed ZBiotics pre-alcohol because we had to stay up all night and watch J.D. Vance, Matt Gaetz, Donald Trump speak. And you can't really do that without a drink. And I will say, I took ZBiotics every time. Every time, I felt great. It worked. So go to zbiotics.com/experts to get 15% off your first order when you use experts at checkout. ZBiotics pre-alcohol is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Thanks to ZBiotics pre-alcohol for sponsoring this video and for our good times. Okay, the last ad we're going to watch is from Women Vote. It's called The Time Is Now.
They'll stop at nothing.
Well, I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
The Republican Party is committed to banning access to abortion for all women in this country.
But Kamala Harris won't back down.
Vice President Harris hammers Republicans on the issue of abortion rights for women.
With so much at stake, we don't have time to waste. Resilient, relentless, fighter. The time is now. Women Vote is responsible for the content of this ad.
What do you think of this one?
I don't like it at all.
Tell me why.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm not sure who this ad is for. Who is the audience? Who are they thinking of when they made this ad? I'm not saying I disagree with the message at all. It's just, I think if you are creating ads that are meant to persuade people, meant to give people new information, I think that when you're doing ads on abortion, they need to be a little bit more emotional. This was fine. I don't think anyone's going to pay attention to it, right? And again, this was put together really quickly. But I would be getting ads with the women who are suing the state of Texas because they were all denied abortion care and some of them almost died. I would get doctors talking about how they can't provide basic medical care. I would be talking about how, you know, in America, there are places where you go into an emergency room and emergency medical staff are confused about whether or not they can treat you for a medical condition around a pregnancy. And so I think that it's fine, but I think that if we're going to be doing ads on abortion care, I think that talking about how much more extreme they want to get, it's not just about abortion, it's about contraception, it's about IVF. I just think that there are more compelling ads. I also think that the video of her testimony and talking to Brett Kavanaugh and saying, can you point to a place where men's bodies are regulated? And he can't. Like, I don't think that that ad was for Democrats who are pro-choice. I think, again, that's for people who are in the middle, who they're trying to bring over and prove that what Trump has done is really extreme. I think you could do a very emotional, visceral ad on this. And to me, that's just not it.
I think this ad is fine.
Fine.
With a lowercase f, right? It's fine. It speaks to something that I think won't really play itself out in the ads, but will play itself out on the campaign trail, which is we know that abortion is an absolutely essential issue for Democrats in this election. It is one in which Joe Biden was an imperfect and slightly uncomfortable messenger. You can address that in the ads, and the Biden campaign ran some great ads on the subject. They have the ad with Hadley Duvall that went up just last week, talking about her story. They've had ads from a doctor in Texas. They've had some very, very good ads using testimonials of women, and those are the best. Those ads test through the roof. Now, Kamala Harris this has been the issue she has led the way on.
Right. That's why I thought this was so lackluster.
Yeah, this is like that the MAGA Inc. ad. Someone kind of threw it together pretty quickly to take advantage of the news cycle. The fact that it's a contrast ad is good. All the research also shows that contrast ads are by far the most effective ads this cycle. And then the last point here that I'm sort of curious about, and we don't know, right? Did they just kind of throw this together? Or is the use of terms like relentless and fighter, is that responding to something that has shown up in their research as a potential vulnerability, right? Do they think she's not a fighter? Is that sort of, is there some baked in misogyny that leads into that? I would be curious when the ads that come from Future Forward, the pro-Biden, now pro-Harris super PAC, or Priorities USA, or the Harris campaign itself. The ad is mostly symbolic of the fact that Democrats can now much more ably and compellingly put abortion at the center of the conversation here, that with Kamala Harris at the ticket, then with Joe Biden at the ticket. I think that matters a lot.
Yes, and if anyone's doing abortion ads and wants a consultant, please bring me in, because I have so many ideas.
Her DMs are open, people. Alyssa Mastromonaco, thank you for coming back on Political Experts React. It is always the best to have you here.
Buddy, will you bring me back in the fall when we can talk about the really expensive ads that are out?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thanks for watching these ads and videos with us. If you have anything you'd like us to break down, let us know in the comments. See you all next time.